My name is Miles Wise. This is my intro to Psych project presentation. What I wanted to do it on was, can psychedelics trigger hypersensitive dreaming? So the reason why I decided to do this was because I've had an experience of doing what's called lucid dreaming, and I've had a one-time experience with psychedelics, and I realized the relationship in between them with cognition and as well as your awareness and mental stimulation going on about that. And so the questions I had going into it was, how does psychedelics affect our cognition and awareness when we are in a lessened mental state, meaning sleep? And how does our sleep and psychedelics benefit both short-term and long-term? So to start it off, psychedelics are both naturally and synthetic. They are hallucinogens that work by stimulating, suppressing, or modulating the activity of various neurotransmitters in the brain. Depending on the chemical structure of the drug, different neurotransmitters are mimicked, and they can take effect on your brain. One example of that was, I have serotonin here, which is a naturally occurring neurotransmitter that is produced throughout our body. It is a feel-good type of chemical that, let's say, takes place after we just get done eating a meal. And if you notice the structure of it, it has a very similar structure going on in psilocybin, DMT, and LSD. Here, the NH and N is all very similar. It's also worth noting that psilocybin and DMT are both also organically occurring psychedelics. They're both found in plants, while LSD is synthetic, not man-made. And because of that, that's why it has extra components to give it an extra kick for when it's digested within the body. So when these psychedelics activate, they induce a state that is characterized by enhanced perceptual sensitivity to external and internal stimuli. And these trips may feel euphoric for the user, which is that serotonin again. But because it is a different level of consciousness that is affected by internally as to who we are and what we know as a person, everything that makes us us, as well as our interaction with the environment around us, that is going to take effect of the person's entire state of being and their reality and their perception and everything like that. So on contrast, even though psychedelics take effect while we are awake, the contrast of that would be sleeping and dreaming and the form of consciousness in there. However, it is still similar. So we dream in what's called our REM sleep stages. So REM sleep occurs in between our sleep cycles. It's the closest mental stage we are at before waking up. And because our cognitive awareness is so close in between resting and waking, we dream at this border of consciousness. So just here on this diagram, at this moment right here is when you see we would fall asleep. We fall into our deepest stage of sleep. This is where we are hardest to wake up because our body and brain is pretty much on shutdown mode. As we fluctuate, we enter our rapid eye movement sleep cycles, and they get longer and longer and longer. And in these rapid eye movement sleep cycles, as we dream, you guys are probably wondering why in this brain scan right here, why it looks like the REM sleep brain is more activated than the awake sleep brain. And the reason why is because in between this border of consciousness, we are not filtering out anything of what's going on around us. While we are awake, we filter out things that's going on around us, things that are distractions we don't need. Whatever is our given task, our brain will give our effort for that task. For REM sleep, in that brief moment of where we're in that cycle, everything that's going on around us and within us, it's getting felt and also outputted. So for example, if I was to hear an alarm, if I'm in my REM sleep stages, if I hear my alarm go off, I may hear it also in my dream, which will alert me to, hey, something's going on in the real world around me. Also, if I was to, let's say, have something on my mind from earlier in the day, and I'm thinking about it while I'm sleeping, and let's say if it was a funny thing, I could laugh about that while I'm dreaming. And even though there's no external factor around me that's funny, that will cause me to laugh. So that's the internal factor of what's going on in my own reality and cognition and consciousness. The complications in researching this, though, and the correlation of psychedelics and the cognition of dreaming is that, for one, the funding of it to accurately gauge it would be very expensive. There's not that many already reports on it because of this, but you would need a lot of CAT scans, MRI scans to accurately gauge the brainwave patterns as to what's going on. It also has a long-term effects on patients that are ingesting these psychedelics and hallucinogens. It can suffer from psychosis, loss of self, self-control, out of touch with reality, because they are constantly under these effects of a mind-altering drug. It can also be a lengthy procedure when it's done properly, because you just need more accurate data, and you also have to give your patients time to recover from the last dosage that they just took. And also the timing of that you take of these doses in a controlled environment, as well as the contrast of consciousness, would also cause complications, because remember, some of these, like LSD, would also be classified as a stimulant. So taking this, taking that drug at the wrong time of when you want to go to sleep, it could actually wake you from your sleep cycle. So then you have an incomplete sleep cycle while you're also tripping out, and that could alter a person's sense of reality. So in conclusion, in a proper controlled setting, serotonergic psychedelics can induce a hypersensitive state of sleep and dreaming via heightened cognitive awareness and perception, allowing for a chance to explore our sense of self in a reality playground, which is known as lucid dreaming. I meant to touch on this, but lucid dreaming is just when you realize you are dreaming within your dream. And so then you just go ahead and do exactly as it says. It's a reality playground. You go ahead and have fun with your own reality. However, improper use of psychedelics and sleep in this comparison can lead to an excessive, improper and excessive use can have long-term effects on patients, such as psychosis, loss of self, and loss of sleep, and their sense of reality between the real world and the psychedelically influenced version is intertwined, and it can cause a slow deterioration to their mental state. Thank you.